Okay, we're live. Hi,
Hi.
everyone. Thank you for joining us. I'm Krista. You are watching Why Am I Yelling Live? And this week, our guest is Renee Pizzuto. Renee is a birth doula, and she and I met over the summer at a Breastfeeding World event. And I love her energy and I love what she does. And she is passionate about educating and empowering families to have the birth experience of their dreams. She provides evidence based education, high quality resources, and one on one support via her services. And the name of her company is called Tribe of Mine. And she's a mom of three. So she's got a lot of stuff going on. And I want you guys to just welcome her to the show. So welcome, Renee. Thank you for being here. We're very excited to have you.
Thank you for having me. I'm so glad that this came about. I know it took a little while for our calendars because we're busy. Here we are. Thank you.
Oh, anytime. So I typically start this with asking you, how you got into the business of being a doula, and what made you want to, I assume you're following your passion. So tell me your story.
Okay. So my story is my original career was in training and development in corporate America. And I was doing recruiting, training and development for companies like Google and reinsurance and brokerage firms. And I loved it. I actually really loved it.
Right.
But everything changed when I obviously started to have my own children. My focus changed, my passion changed. And I thought, at least for where what I was at the time, there wasn't a lot of education and there wasn't a lot of information out there for moms and dads or partners to really understand the landscape of birth.
Right.
I mean, I took a class and it was really helpful, but it didn't really hit the nail on the head of
Right.
what this is going to mean for my life. And I had one child, everything changed. And I started to train for, or study for rather, my pre and postnatal health and wellness certification.
Okay.
So to work with expecting moms,
Right.
because that was an untapped resource. And I knew myself, I was a very healthy woman, I was active, and there was nothing for me. So that really started it. And then it wasn't until fast forward my third child that I said, okay,
Right.
this totally has to change. And the work of a doula was introduced to me.
Right.
And that's how I got started. So at the very end of, I did my first birth actually in 2009, but I
Okay.
didn't pick up with my own work until 2012 because I had three babies under the age of 5 years old. I was a
Oh my God.
nursing mom. I was
Right.
by
Right.
myself. That's a lot of
Right.
work.
It's a lot of work. Trust me, I know. I remember when I
Yeah.
had my first, it was, when was he born? 2005. And we did like, the birthing class. I don't even, real birth, I think it was in like on 23rd Street or something. And it was a 1 day
Okay.
thing. Like we took the class and there wasn't a lot of talk about midwifery or doulas or any of that. It was, like you go to the hospital, this is your video, this is what you should expect. You should take the tour, like all of that. Right. And so it wasn't even really on our radar. And then when it came
Right.
time to have our second one, who was 6 years younger, so I had him in 2012. Um, I was just like, well, I'm just going to go with what I know because I don't. I mean,
That's what
and
I know.
I had very easy labor, so both of my kids basically like walked out of me. So there was no. It was very short and very brief for both of them, thank God. Um, but I could see where like I have plenty of friends who wish they went that route for to have the support and the education and the background because you know hospital doctor a little sterile, a little not so like bedside manner is it's quick and it's getting things accomplished. But I feel like
Yeah.
having somebody like you there is just well rounds out the experience. Is that a good way of saying it?
Yeah, it absolutely does. Having, the studies show that having doula support, an unbiased, unattached support person,
Right.
helps families to birth better and have a better birth experience. And in my eyes and in my head, why wouldn't everyone want to engage in something like that?
Right.
You figure If you're getting married and you're planning a wedding, how many venues do you go see before
Right.
you choose one? When you're going to college, how many colleges do you visit before you determine where you're going to stay put for 4 years, right?
Yeah.
So when you're planning the next phase of your womanhood, your parenthood, the entrance to your child's life,
Yeah.
why would you not explore that thoroughly? As unique as you are, everybody is different. They have different needs for different reasons,
Yep.
and they need to align themselves with support people that will help them get there. And a doula is one component of it.
Right.
And very important component of it, but it's one component.
Now, explain to me the difference between a doula and a midwife, or is it the same?
Sure. No, it is not the same.
Okay.
A doula is a non-medical support person.
Okay.
Okay. So you have either an OBGYN or a midwife as your provider.
I gotcha.
They're both medical.
Yep.
Those are the people who are treating you, who are diagnosing you, who
Right.
would be there to catch your baby.
Right.
The doula, right. Well, I have been in those unexpected circumstances before. It's not of choice.
Right.
The doula is a non-medical support person. So we come in, or I would come in and educate them on the emotional aspect, the physical aspect, the mental aspect of what they're experiencing, not just for the woman, but for the partner.
Yep. Very important.
So it's everybody. So we'll go over things like stages of labor, comfort measures. I'm really big on what their choices could look like, what their rights are as laboring people.
I love that.
Because that really doesn't get touched upon, especially if you're laboring in a hospital setting.
Sure.
You want to know the complete landscape, because the truth of the matter is you're the consumer and you hold the power.
Yes.
So
yep. I don't think a lot of people realize that either. I think a lot of people go into it. I mean, maybe now, like my kids are older, but maybe now people are more educated and more aware. But I feel like, when you go to the doctor, it's like, well, whatever the doctor tells me is what I'm going to do. And you don't really challenge that unless you're smart enough to, or you have the wherewithal to know that. But you kind of like trust your doctor and you think, okay, well, this is how it's going to happen. So why would I have any reason to not? And I'm not saying don't trust your doctor. I'm just saying, I think it's a good idea to have, some more knowledge behind you. And, and even though, like the books that you read, they're all great and whatever, but I feel like, having somebody there, or even having the information is probably a good idea.
Well, that continuous support, two things. That continuous support, one, is incredibly helpful because birth from start to finish is totally different.
Yep.
It doesn't look the same the whole way through.
Yeah.
There's different stages. There's different things that are going on. If we could all predict, we'd be quite rich. That's not the case. So that continuous support is helpful, especially when, you are not really cozy and familiar with, let's say, a hospital setting.
Right.
There are shift changes, things that change. And the doula provides that continuity for the mom and the partner so that, they have something that they can refer back to that's consistent.
Right.
And one thing that I would also say is that, the doula works really hard at helping the family build a bridge, because I myself would go in, you wait maybe an hour and a half, you see them for 15 minutes, you're like, okay, whatever. And that's fine.
Yeah.
But if you're thirsty for more information, if you have something else on your mind, if you come from an emotional history, that 15 minutes of basic stuff just might not do it for you. So really working with the family to understand what their goal is and help them build that bridge with their provider, that's also important, because I think providers, obviously they're well-intended, they have very good intentions, but they're human beings too. They fall short, they have a bad day, they roll out of bed the wrong way, stuff happens.
Yeah.
So
walk me through the process. If I'm pregnant and I want to and I want a doula, what do I do?
Well, first you can look me up at tribeofmind.com. That's one.
Yeah.
A lot of my work Yes, thank you. A lot of my work comes from referrals, actually. So childbirth educators or other doulas in, the New York City, New Jersey area
Right.
that know of me and know of my work, they would refer. So a family could contact me, on my website, there's a space where they can fill in information about what they're looking for because I offer breastfeeding support, I offer newborn support, I offer, mommy confidence check-ins. It's not just like
Right.
one
That's
thing.
great. Right.
And I meet with them. I'll do a free consultation in the comfort of their own home or wherever they would like. And we can talk a little bit about what their thoughts, what their expectations are, what their needs are. And we go from there. So they get to ask me questions about my history, my background, what is it that I bring to the table as a unique doula,
Right.
a holistic approach if they so choose. And then we can rock and roll.
And how, like how far along into the pregnancy do you recommend somebody
Yeah.
contacting a doula?
I recommend them contacting a doula as soon as possible.
Right.
So
Okay.
some women, they are trying to get pregnant and they'll say, and all these stories are true. And
I'm sure. I believe all of them.
be on alert. Be on alert. I'm gonna contact you in a few weeks. Okay, that's fine. Some people, it's 3 days and they peed on a stick and they think they're pregnant and they're so excited and then they call me.
Right.
The sooner the better, only for the fact that it helps me to establish a rapport with them.
Right.
Checking in, how are your doctor's appointments going or your appointments with your midwife going? What's going on in your life? Anything emotional happening, stresses.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
am their back pocket best friend for this whole journey. That's what it really boils down to. So the more time you give me, the more time I can dive in. If you call me in the laboring room, and I'm fortunate enough to get there, then great, it'll still be of value. And I've had that happen several times, which is not ideal, by the way, but it happens.
Why is that not ideal? That's so funny.
Yeah, I'm serious.
I'm sure. I mean, I can't even imagine the stories that you have. Even just like the stories that I have from like my friends. It's like, oh my gosh, like they're really no two birth is alike. Not any of them.
No, and you make such a great point because I think as women, sometimes we don't do the best job at elevating each other and sharing positive birth stories.
Yep.
It's always like, you won't believe what my cousin Sam did and her mother and father from, it's too much. It's too much and it's overwhelming for a new mom. And you want to have your own experience because it will be as unique as you are. So it can be interesting. And yes, no two births are alike. And thank goodness for that. It keeps life exciting.
Of course it does. I think it's great. I give you a lot of credit for this because I don't know that I could be in a room with women birthing babies all the time.
Yes, you could. Yes, you could. Yes, you could. It is the highest of highs. I have to be totally honest with you. And it's this built-in gift system that we have. And, you're on this euphoric high for days, believe it or not. Your oxytocin is just bursting at the seams and everybody's getting it. The doctor, the nurse, everybody's getting it. It's amazing.
It is. It's funny because
but it does come in many forms.
Right. One of my best friends, she's a doctor, and when she was going through her residency and she had to pick, her specialty, she was like, I'm really torn. I either want to be an emergency room doctor because she likes the adrenaline, or I want to be, she's like, and then she went through her OB rotation and she came back and she was like, oh my God, I might want to be an OB. And we were all like, what are you talking about? And she was like, you have no idea what it feels like to do this. Yeah. And we were like, and then you're like, when you think about it, you're like, well, yes, I do. Cause I've had my own. So yeah, I know what it feels like, but I don't know what it's like to, be the person who's helping you do it. I can ask my husband what that feels like, but yeah, I think it's an awesome thing. I think it's a really good service to have and to know and to I mean, in this day and age of education and instant gratification for technology and information and all that kind of stuff, I think it's important to know that stuff. But I'm a big believer of, like hand-on-hand communication, touch. It's like, it's fine if you see it, but I like to be able to like feel it and touch it. And so to have somebody there who's not, your partner or your mother or your doctor, because they all have opinions and stuff, then,
Yeah.
it's great.
Well, I think one of the most, for me, if I was going to step outside of the home and work again outside of the home, because all mothers who are home are working hard with no
Right.
lunch break and none of that.
Right.
It had to be incredibly valuable to me, where I felt like this is a reason for me to step away from my own children for maybe hours and days on end
Sure.
to support another family. So, if I had to do it all over again, to be honest with you, out of college and whatnot, I would have pursued this work right off the bat. I wouldn't have
Really?
probably stepped into corporate America. Oh yeah, 100%. I loved
Yeah.
what I did, and in some ways, training and development, training
Sure.
and developing of birth,
Yeah.
But this is just, it hit the nail on the head for me. And you get invited to someone's very, very sacred space,
It really is.
no matter what that looks like.
Yep.
And when you see a woman reach so far down to the depth of her soul, you literally see this wave of change that comes over her, Krista,
Yeah.
and she is completely new.
Yeah.
You're
gonna make me cry.
It's unbelievable. I cry all the time.
Yeah. I would be a blubbering mess. I'd be like every time, a disaster.
It's amazing.
Like I just wrote about it and I cried. It's like, it was so long ago. Like, are you kidding me? Like, but yeah, when my little one's going to be 5 next week, and it's like, I remember when I had you.
Yes.
It's funny.
And the funny thing is that the work of a doula wasn't really on my radar when I had my first child,
Right.
almost 10 years ago.
Right.
But I had this innate desire to have a birth the way I wanted to and the way I saw fit.
Right.
And none of my births happened exactly the way that I wanted, to be quite frank.
Right.
But my husband was so into it. He loved me. He didn't leave my side once, and I made him work. He was, I think, the best doula. And he killed it. I look back, knowing what I know now, I'm like, you're amazing. You could have totally have done that. And I don't think I could have put up with me. So it's great. It's absolutely wonderful. It truly is.
I love it. I love that. I think it's just such a selfless service. It's like you're not there for any part of you. Not one.
You're absolutely right.
Right.
You are absolutely right. And sometimes that's a misconception. People think, or they might ask, rather, I'm not going to say that they think, but they might ask, did you get into this work because of your birth experience? And the truth is, no.
Right.
I just so strongly believe that every woman has the right to be completely herself, to be completely authentic, to do things the way that she wants to. It's her body, it's her baby, it's her right.
Yeah.
And I had my births, and I love them for what they were. Maybe for some of the things that they might not have been, but they were mine.
Sure.
They were mine.
Yeah. They're yours. Yeah. You have your stories, and that's important. And I also have friends who have gone through it, who ended up having C-sections. They wanted to try so hard, and how that goes. I'm sure you've been there too. And then they feel like they're a failure in some way, shape, or form. Like, I have a friend who had a really hard time with the fact that she had to end up having a C-section. She didn't have a doula, and she had a doctor who she wasn't really that familiar with, because it wasn't the doctor who was her OB. And I remember going to visit her at the hospital, and she had a reaction to the drugs and the whole thing. And she was like, this is nothing like what I thought it was going to be at all. And she just cried about it. And this was before I was even coaching. And I was like, listen to me. this, you had a baby. There's no failure in any of this. It doesn't matter how he came out. There's a baby here. And look what you did. You grew this human being in your body. Like, that's insane. And there was a lot of talking off the ledge just because of that. And it's like, like, and I'm sure that's part of your whole thing is like, don't ever feel like a failure for the way that your birth turns out. It's it's yours. And, you should be proud of it because you just had a human, everybody. Like,
right. You just had a human. Yes. Regardless of how, well, this is twofold in my honest opinion. Regardless of how a woman gives birth, whether she gives birth vaginally or she gives birth by a cesarean, she's giving birth, because without her, this child is totally not coming into the world.
Right.
Okay. The other part is, and this is why the education prior is super important, because this is not just about that moment of birth. This is how the woman changes over into motherhood, into her womanhood. It's the next level of it. It's how she bonds with the baby. It's how her partner bonds with the baby. It's how they're bonding as a unit. And even if we don't have these strong expectations or ideals of what birth will look like, of course, it imprints us on a very profound level. And because our brain goes into these deep levels of subconscious, digging down deep to become who we need to be, everything changes and you have no control over that. And I think that even if the baby is healthy, right, which we always hope in the course, the mother she must acknowledge and either celebrate or grieve or question or wonder why. It's something that we all go through on some level. And it happens, and sometimes we are left with experiences that maybe we didn't want, or maybe that should have never have happened. And in those cases, therapy of some sort, journaling, talking therapy, finding, again, an unbiased support person to help walk you through it is important.
I love that. I love that, I love that we're talking about this because I think so many people are afraid to talk about it, number one.
Yeah.
And I think a lot of people don't really think to talk about it all the way through, like you're saying, like from the beginning to the end. It's like everybody just thinks of this one piece and there's so much more to it.
Totally.
Yep. I like that. I want to have a doula when I have my next baby. There will not be a next baby. So there won't be a doula for me.
Well, if you ever find that someone, of course you would, that does want that support. Maybe they didn't have the greatest experience and they want to rewrite it. It's a wonderful tool. And, in New York, women are becoming more and more aware and consumers.
Yeah,
and even I think for the women,
I just see it in the mommy groups. It's like they're all asking the questions, and it's like I think they're pretty savvy on the education piece. Like if they want to know, they're going to know.
Yeah,
I love it. So Jackie is putting up your links. Can you hear me? Are we good?
Okay. Yeah.
Jackie's going to put up your links. She shared this video with your group on your page. So they're all watching us. I don't know who's watching us right now. I can't see.
I don't know either.
But I just want, I thank you so much for this conversation. This was really enlightening for me. And I hope for whoever is watching, because I think it's an important conversation to have. I think it is something that women need to, hold on.
Mm-hmm.
Jackie just said our live got interrupted. Right? Technical difficulties. Oh, she said it's loading. Okay. It says it's live here.
Yeah. Do you get to see who watches this or no? You just
a couple people have commented. Like I can see the comments. Heather, like this, awesome. My friend Heather. So let's wrap up, and then I'll download it and put it on YouTube, and then we can do it that way. Okay, so thank you for being here. Thank you for sharing your stories. I certainly appreciate it. Jackie's going to put everything in the comments, but the name of your business is tribeofmine.com. You can find Renee there. And you're all over Facebook. I know that. And if you ever, clearly I'm happy to, oh, we're back on. Okay. Hi, everybody. Sorry for that interruption. Oh, there we go. Yep, Renee, she just put it up there for you. And that's it. Is there any last minute words of wisdom that you have for anybody, or parting gifts, words? What do you got?
Okay, my last parting gift, and I say this to the woman in the supermarket, or if I'm out to dinner and I see somebody who's pregnant, my thought is, you are in control. You are in control. You are in control of your choices. You are in control to ask questions. You are in control of everything from start to finish. Even though you might not have a medical degree, you've never done this before, and this is, your first rodeo, you're still in control. You have all that power. So don't give it up for nothing. That's it.
I love it. I love you. You're so cute.
I love you too. Thank you.
Oh, anytime. So I'm going to take us off air. You stay right there. Thank you, everybody, for watching. That was a very quick half hour. I can't believe you're done.
Yes.
We will see you guys all back here next week. So stay tuned, and I'll be back on tomorrow at 1:30. So we'll see you guys next week. Thanks for watching, and thanks, Renee, for being here. Mwah.
Thank you. Have a great day.